Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged, and unless your Wi-Fi's been down for the last week, you already knew that.
Yeah, I know. Where's our breaking news, Anna?
I know, right?
Well, we're not saying they need our help planning their big day. We are diving into some key questions that every couple needs to answer before they say I do.
Yeah, Victoria Deardorff of Pittsburgh Brides is here to offer up some advice to the happy couple. Now, Victoria, before we get into those tough questions, can you tell us a little bit about Burgh Brides?
Yes, so Burgh Brides is a digital wedding planning platform dedicated to couples getting married here in Pittsburgh. So they can go to our site to find planning inspiration, to get connected with reputable vendors, to see real Pittsburgh wedding features, and lots more good stuff.
I think with every couple, when they're getting married, they start immediately looking at the wedding list. Are we doing a big wedding? Even if you wanted a more small wedding, you're going to start stacking guests up because of the plus ones. So how do you determine who gets a plus one and who doesn't?
So this can be a little tricky, and this is, you need to set some clear, consistent guidelines from the very beginning and be prepared to stick to them. So people who are married, people who are engaged, people who have been in long-term relationships, they get a plus one, of course.
Right.
People who are, maybe they might not know very many people at the wedding, or maybe your coworkers, those are kind of iffy. You can sort of decide those together. But people who are just casually dating, or if they're in a brand new relationship, your wedding should not be the first time that you hear of or meet someone. So those folks do not get a plus one, sorry.
Who are you? Okay, so this is in true Pittsburgh spirit. This couple, they do not want a cookie table, and they would like to know what they should do.
They should prepare for guest mutiny. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, it is your wedding. That is 100% your call. But there are some ways to handle it to try to minimize the drama a little bit. So if your family isn't a cookie table traditional family, then you don't even need to mention it during the planning process. They might not even notice that the cookies are missing until it's far too late to cause a fuss about.
Well, I was going to say there's so much family effort that goes into those. So if you don't have a large family, or it's not a tradition in your family, it would be very hard to pull off and
you can
potentially expensive.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we communicate that it's an adults-only wedding? I know this can get very sticky as well, especially if maybe you have a couple of kids as part of the ceremony, but not the reception.
So Kelly shared a hot take earlier. I will share my hot take as well. I'm a mom. I love kids. Weddings are for adults.
Yes! Yes!
Yes, I am with you.
Are for adults.
Yeah.
Mom and dad, they deserve a night off. So there are some ways that you need to communicate this to your guests. First of all, on your invitation, put adults-only celebration. On your wedding website, you want to reiterate that. And then lastly, make sure that your invitation is addressed to only those people who are invited. So John and Jane Doe, that indicates that it's just the parents. If you put the Doe family, that's a bit more ambiguous, and people would assume that their children are invited.
I just would never think to bring my kid to a wedding, but that's just me, you know.
I know. Yeah.
I know.
No, thank you.
And I'm guessing that you've been to a wedding where kids are allowed, and I was not as fun.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I was not as fun.
Right.
My kids had fun.
Yes.
Me, not so much.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so I know a lot of people love their pets, so couples want to incorporate them into their wedding, maybe even into the reception. What's the best way to do that?
So decide, do you want them present, or do you just want to throw some nods to your love for your pet on the big day? So if you want them present, be sure to check with your venue first to make sure that they actually allow pets there. And then I would hire like a pet care wedding service to take them, to wrangle them, to make sure they look good for photos, all that stuff. Yeah, otherwise you can name a signature drink after them. You can have custom sugar cookies made in their liking, put them on the cookie table. You can donate to a pet nonprofit organization in lieu of favors. There are lots of ways that you can show up.
Instead of having the actual
dog or
cat there.
Wedding cakes, obviously very traditional, but I feel like we're starting to see a shift and a change in that. So what do you do? Do you want to cut the cake? Do you not want to cut the cake? How do we do this?
I've seen some couples do a private cake cutting where they just get a small cake and it's just the two of them. Very similar to like a first look moment where it's private, it's intimate, they get the photos, but it's not a big show in front of all of the guests. So I think that's really, really sweet. Sheet cakes are making a comeback.
Get out!
Yes, they are. I know. But, maybe you're just not a cake person. Maybe you want to cut into a pie, or maybe you want to cut into a giant cheesecake. You do you. There are no rules. The wedding rules is that there are no rules.
I love this.
Yeah.
It's good.
I like pie. I like the idea of cutting into a pie.
Yeah.
Apple pie.
There you go.
so much.
Yeah.
Really great stuff. If you would like to get some wedding planning inspiration from Burgh Brides, we're going to link you up on our website, kdka.com/talkpittsburgh.